Games keep getting longer. Red Dead Redemption was around 20 hours. The sequel is closer to 50. Assassin's Creed used to be a tight, semi-historical action game, and now it's a 100-hour open world with RPG systems, crafting, and boring resource gathering. And for a while, I thought that was a good thing. When you're a teenager with pocket money and maybe 2 games a year, you want the ones that never end. You want something massive, something that you can disappear into for weeks. But then something happened. The bigger games got, the less they seem to matter. I'm not even exaggerating when I say I don't remember the last Assassin's Creed game I played. Maybe it was Origins or Odyssey, I'm not sure. Because after 10 hours, I dropped it and I haven't touched it since. You know the one I do remember? A Short Hike, for example. I think I finished it in around 50 minutes, but I remember everything. That little mountain, the gliding, the beatstick ball. I even remember some interactions with other characters, and most importantly, I remember how the game made me feel. The game is small. It's not trying to be this massive, never-ending, ever-expanding, I don't know more synonyms thing. It just gave me a small, beautiful place to exist in for a while, and then it let me go. And that's kind of the point, right? Small games don't waste your time. They don't keep you busy just to seem bigger than they are. They show up, say or do something meaningful, and leave before you even think about checking your phone. And that's really the main issue with long games. It's not the fact that they are long. Some long games are great. The problem is they are lacking focus. You can kind of tell when a game doesn't really know what it wants to be. It starts great, and then it throws a crafting system for no reason. Suddenly there's base building, and then there's a random skill tree with only 6 upgrades because if a game doesn't have RPG systems, is it even a game? And yeah, sure, technically it's more content, but none of it feels necessary. Imagine if a game like Inside had a crafting system, or some skill tree. It would completely ruin the experience. Inside is one of the simplest games ever. You move, you jump, you grab things, and that's it. But that's all it needs. It's one of the best puzzle platformers and one of my favorite indie games. And what I love about it is how, even though the controls never change, you change. You either gain a new way to interact with the world, or you understand something new. So even when the story forces you to visit an area you already went through, it feels new and fresh. Which is the exact opposite of what happens in a lot of AAA games. At first you're excited. New world, new map, new characters. And for the first 30 minutes, everything feels fresh. But then, the game starts sending you back and forth across the map. Go to point A, then to point B, then back to point A, talk to someone, now run to point C, just to be told to go back to point B again. And you end up wondering, why am I doing this? It's frustrating because sometimes the core gameplay is genuinely fun. But you can easily tell when a game is trying to stress what could be a tight 10-hour experience into a 20-hour marathon. And the worst part is, we kind of did this to ourselves. How many times have you seen a formula similar to this one online? Something like 1 hour of gameplay equals $1 I'm willing to pay. This is stupid. If you actually follow this formula, which I used to, you should rethink what you value in a game. Because when we define value only by how many hours a game gives us, we are telling companies that our time doesn't matter. And so, in response, big companies release bigger games, which require bigger budgets, which require higher prices to justify the investment to stockholders. And you end up with an $80 game that still sucks, but it's 100 hours long, so you're getting 20 hours for free. It doesn't make sense. You're gonna play like 15 hours and hate 10 of them. It's funny how sometimes the most powerful thing a game can do is stop. And the same goes for YouTubers. So rather than repeating myself over and over again, I'm just gonna recommend some short games for you to come to the side of gaming. Starting with A Short Hike, of course, one of the reasons why I made this video. You play as Claire, a teenage bird visiting her aunt at Hawk Peak Provincial Park. When you get there, you discover that there's no cell phone reception. So your aunt tells you that if you really want to use your phone, you will have to climb to the peak. And that's it. That's literally the entire plot. You're in an island with a tall mountain, and you have to reach the top. But what really matters, and I know this is really cliché, is not the summit, it's the journey. There are some signs to know where you're going, but there's no defined path. And there's no minimap to follow. Just an open world you can explore however you want. As you walk around, you will find golden feathers, which will let you climb further, as well as flap your wings to fly higher up. You will also find items that will unlock new interactions, such as unbarring treasures, fishing, watering plants, and more. And most importantly, you will find some of the best NPCs ever. I know I complain about missions that send you from one place to another just for the sake of it, but the beauty of a short hike is that you don't need to complete these tasks or favors. But you will probably want to, because the writing is just amazing. Each character feels unique, and you will find most of them doing something different, like painting, training for a marathon, taking a nap, or fishing. They are not just standing around waiting for you. They are living their lives, and you're just passing through. I beat the game in around 50 minutes, but I continued playing until I reached the 3-hour mark, and the game is a solid 9.5 out of 10 for me. Now, if you don't like dialogues and interacting with the world and NPCs, this game may not be for you. I would still recommend it because of the amazing music and charming graphics. But of course, not every game suits everyone. So, let's switch to the opposite side of the spectrum with another game that I already mentioned, Inside. Just like A Short Hike does a great job at making you feel welcome, Inside does an amazing job at transmitting just how oppressive its world is. There's no music, no dialogue, and definitely no NPCs taking a nap or painting a landscape. As I already said, the mechanics are really simple. Walk, jump, and pull or push. That's it. I don't want to spoil it since it's a puzzle platformer, and anything I say could be used as a hint, which kinda defeats the purpose of the game. But don't worry because the puzzles are quite simple, and I really think anyone can enjoy and beat this game. It took me 3 hours to finish the game, and it's a 9 out of 10 in my opinion. Continuing with this dark setting, we got Carryon, a reverse horror game where you don't run from the monster, you are the monster. To be fair, it's not a horror game, just a game with a dark and gore setting, but that's okay because the game is fun. You play as this horrible mass of teeth, tentacles, and meat, trying to escape from an underground lab where you spawned. The controls are pretty unique. You can move freely in any direction as if it were a top-down game thanks to your tentacles, while still being affected by gravity. As you explore, you unlock new abilities, which I'm not gonna spoil, that let you access new areas, making it feel kinda like a small Metroidvania. The game takes around 4.5 hours to beat, and it's an 8 out of 10 for me. Next, we have Alba, a wildlife adventure. In this game, you play as Alba, a young Spanish girl visiting her grandparents on a Mediterranean island. The gameplay is simple and relaxing. You walk around the island, take photos of animals, clean up trash, fix things, and help locals, all to collect signatures for a petition. Why the petition? Well, this is where it gets very Spanish. On your first day there, you find out that the island's nature reserve mysteriously burned down. And, how convenient, the mayor is now planning to sell the land to an investor who wants to build a luxury hotel. So, Alba and her best friend, Inés, start their own environmental campaign to stop the project and protect the wildlife. It's all told through the eyes of a kid, which makes it super heartwarming and hopeful, even when the story touches on very real issues. The birds, plants, and general atmosphere also did a great job at transporting you to the Spanish coast. I will be honest though, I'm extremely biased here. If I wasn't Spanish or the game was set in, I don't know, Texas, I probably wouldn't give it such a high score. If you get it on sale, it's definitely a 9 out of 10. Although with the base price set at 17 euros, I would give it an 8 out of 10. Oh, and it took me 2.5 hours to beat the game, but I spent around 10 minutes petting the dog. Another really short and extremely gorgeous game is Far Lone Sails. This one is pretty unique. Once again, there's no dialogue, no NPCs, and honestly, no explanation of what's going on at all. You control a little character inside this massive, weird-looking vehicle, and your goal is basically to keep it moving forward through a desolate, post-apocalyptic landscape. You will be managing the engine, fixing broken parts, picking up fuel, and more. But what makes it really unique is that it doesn't play like a simulator, which is a genre that I honestly don't like. Instead, it plays like a puzzle platformer. Every button and object in the vehicle is bigger than you, so you will have to run and push it, jump on it, or hit it with your head in order to activate it. That way, even though the game is mostly about moving forward, it stays extremely engaging. The environment does all the storytelling. You pass by collapsed cities, sunken ships, old ruins, and it's all really atmospheric and absolutely stunning. It's probably one of my top 5 games in terms of aesthetics alone. I think this game is a bit more niche than Inside, for example. but it's a solid 2.5 hour experience, so it's getting an 8.5. Last but not least, a game that I almost didn't play because of its trailer, but that I ended up loving is the Gunkk. In the game, you land on a planet covered in a weird black goo, so the Gunkk, and your job is to clean it up and figure out what happened to the place. The Steam page made the game look like a relatively dark shooter on an alien planet. It's not. It's like Power Wash Simulator on crack, and that's way better. The gameplay is super satisfying. You vacuum up Gunkk, which is way more fun than it sounds, restore the environment, and uncover bits of the story as you go. There's a bit of light platforming, some puzzles, some exploration, nothing too complex, but it all flows really well. The writing is also great. I love the characters and their development throughout the story. It took me 4.5 hours to beat, but I will probably revisit it in the future just for the satisfying gameplay alone. The game is 25 euros, which is quite expensive, but the other day was on sale for less than 2 euros, which, by the way, I mentioned on my Discord. You should probably join if you want to see future videos and all that stuff. I will also link in the description all these games that I mentioned, and while you're down there, I would appreciate a like and follow. Also, I'm always open to suggestions, so leave your favorite short games in the comments. So yeah, that's it. See ya!